Shine your light with me, like the sun on the moon on the earth, give and receive.
Hello friends, all those who are viewing this video. We certainly appreciate your tuning in to Unity in the Valley. Let us get centered here and prepare for our experience together, even though it may be virtual or it might be together for the few who are here for support. Let us take a moment. Thank you, sweet Spirit, that regardless of the time and the place, we are always one. We are one in the Spirit of your love. We are one in your life because you are life itself. We give thanks for this day and for all the blessings that are coming our way. And so it is. Amen.
Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
The daily word that I am sharing today is actually from Thursday, January the 28th. And the word is forgive. Forgiveness is a process that begins, however humbly, with the decision to forgive. I begin with willingness, but sometimes even that feels difficult. I do not try to rush the process, trusting the power of divine love within to free me from unforgiveness if I remain willing to forgive. When I'm ready, I allow myself to process any resentment I am holding on to. I might feel sad or angry for a while. Although this step may seem negative at first, staying with it gives me clarity. Getting real and honest about what I am feeling is an effective way to begin to let go of any hurt or anger. Forgiveness is a gift that I give to myself as I embrace my willingness to release resentments and free my heart. And from Luke chapter 23, verse 34. Then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Forgive.
As I went down to the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, let's go down, come on down, come on, brothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, fathers, let's go down, let's go down, come on down. Oh, fathers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down, let's go down. Don't you wanna go down? Come on, mothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way.
As we turn within, we do so with a willing heart. We are open and receptive to the living Spirit of truth that reveals to us all that we need to know. It reveals to us the steps that we might take for the greater good. It reveals to us the path of healing and reconciliation. And this presence ignites our hearts with the flame of love. Love for others, love for ourselves, love for all life, plants and animals, love for our planet, and the entire universe of universes. As we acknowledge all the ways we are blessed, we acknowledge the desire we have to go deeper and to go higher and to have a closer walk. We are willing to let go of what we think we know in order to know the truth that makes us free. As we are shown the truth, we recognize the gratitude we feel as we make progress along our path of understanding what oneness really is. How blessed we are to have one another, to have diversity, to have so many experiences that reflect to us the beauty of this world. And so now we just rest a moment in the silence, just allowing this precious Spirit that is the truth of our being to speak. Thank you, sweet Spirit. We lift our eyes, ready to embrace this day. And we say yes to life. Yes to what you have called us to be, which is no less than the light of the world. This is our prayer and our decree, and so it is, and so we let it be. Amen, amen, and amen.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I am one in the spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God. Peace fills me, source guides me. I am one in the spirit all around me. Peace fills me, source guides me. I trust in God. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God.
There was once a young man who was graduating from college. It was a big milestone in his life, of course. And so, quite frequently, he would pass by this showroom of cars, and he fell in love with this little sports car. So he told his father that that was all he wanted for graduation, knowing that his father could well afford it. So the day came, he graduated, and when he went home for the celebration, his father told him how proud he was of him, how much he loved him, and then he handed him a gift-wrapped box. And this was not what he had anticipated, not what he had expected. So when he opened the box, he saw a beautiful leather-bound Bible with his name embossed in gold on the front of it. The young man became angry, stood up, and said to his father, "You knew what I wanted, and you give me this Bible?" And he turned and he walked away. And they didn't speak. They didn't speak for a very long time. The young man married, had a loving family, was very prosperous in his business, very successful man. And at some point, he started thinking about his father, thinking, well, he's probably getting up there in his years. I probably should go and check on him. But before he could do that, he got notice that his father had passed away. And being the only son, he was asked to come and to settle all of his affairs. So he went to his father's home. And when he went in, he immediately felt sad. He felt regretful of what all had happened. And as he was going through things in the closet, he came across this box with the Bible in it, untouched. So he took the Bible out of the box, and as he was flipping through it, he came to a particular passage that was underlined. And in the words of Jesus, this is what was underlined. If you who are evil, and in unity we would say, you who live in error thought, know how to give good gifts to children, how much more will your Father in heaven give to those who ask? And taped to that page was a key with a tag on it. And it had the address of the dealership where this young man used to go. And on that tag it said, paid in full. I share this story just to illustrate how damaging our assumptions can be. I'm continuing in the series of the 4 agreements. The first agreement, be impeccable with your word. Speak only words of spiritual truth. And the second is, don't take anything personally, because we're all projecting our own ideas and opinions, our framework. And the third one is, don't assume anything. Don't make assumptions. When we make assumptions, then we form opinions. Opinions polarize us and often lead to conflict. I'll give you another example. This is a true story. In my former church, there were 2 women who were just best friends. As a matter of fact, when the first one discovered our church through the Healing Prayer Circle, she brought her friend. And so they both became very active, well-loved members of the community. One day, let's say there's friend A and friend B. One day, friend B had a health crisis emergency come up, and friend A didn't contact her, didn't go to see her, didn't check on her. I know this because friend B came to speak to me and say, I just don't understand why she dropped me like a hot potato, that she doesn't even care enough to find out how I'm doing. Okay? I kept that in confidence, of course. And then one day, friend A came and said, I don't know why B is shunning me, why she has a cold shoulder toward me now. At the root of this were 2 assumptions. Friend A assumed that friend B would want her space to heal, kind of like a wounded animal will go off and hide. So she didn't want to intrude on her time. Friend B had just the opposite assumption, that when your friend is going through a hard time, you're right there by their side. This got reconciled. This got reconciled because I actually did a talk on the Golden Rule, which says, and is found in all major religions through different wording, but it says the same. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Beyond that, there has evolved the Platinum Rule, and that is, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. That is true service. But we don't know what they would have us do unto them unless we ask. Unless we ask. You know, the number one assumption is that everybody's like me. Number one. And I was well into my 20s, maybe 30s, before I realized that everyone is not like me. Conversely to that, if you assume everyone is like you, that means you're like everyone else. And with that kind of filter, we can fail to see our own unique gifts there's nothing special about me. Everybody can sing. There's nothing great about being a fantastic dancer. There's nothing special about publishing 10 books. There's nothing. I'm no different than anyone else. We are one in the Spirit, but we are unique in the Spirit also. Number one assumption, everybody's like me. No, they're not. You are an individual. We live in harmony when we recognize this truth. But it's hard not to make an assumption because we assume our assumptions are correct. We assume our assumptions are correct. So why in the world would I question truth? So we go along living in our dream world, as Ruiz says, thinking we know what's going on. There's another practice that we engage in. It's called MSU. That's making stuff up. When we engage in MSU, we use PFA facts. PFA stands for plucked from air. We make things up because inquiring minds want to know. And we assume that we should know. Oh man, I remember as a kid, I dreaded family reunions because there were first cousins, second cousins, third cousins, people switching up marriage, and now they're married to so-and-so, and I couldn't keep track of everybody. And my assumption was I was supposed to know who they are. That was as a kid. I got over that as an adult. Now tell me your name again. Donna, I'm your cousin, so-and-so. Oh, yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? You know, we don't know everything. Nor are we supposed to know everything. But we should on ourselves a lot. I should know this. And furthermore, you should know this. And the deeper our relationships, the closer we are, the more we assume that. Well, if you really loved me, you would know what I'm in the mood for. If you really loved me, you would know that I'm tired of spaghetti. I'd rather have pizza. If you know me, you'll prove it by knowing what makes me happy. But since when, as a requisite for love, been mind reading? We have a responsibility to be able to communicate what our needs are and what we truly want. But because of our assumptions overlaid that, we don't always even know what we want, but we assume someone else should. We have agreed to communicate this way. We have agreed that we should already know the unknowable. If we can commit to having the courage to ask a question, just a simple question. What I think I heard you say was, does this mean that? Because that's where my mind goes, and I want to make sure I understand your needs. Because I love you. Because I'm your friend. Because I'm your boss. Because I'm your mother or father or whatever the relationship is. You see, the Four Agreements is really all about healthy communication. And that is the number one reason we have conflict. The number one. We make stuff up in our heads and then we believe it's true and then we start sharing it. And then people polarize and then they have to defend their assumption because we know it's true. And then there you have it. You have the mess that we experience in our personal lives, in this country, in this world. We have to take responsibility for what goes on up here, each one of us, because it's so very, very important. Because what up is up here, comes out through here, through the mouth. And as we decree a thing, we make it so in our reality. And then we share it, and other people pick it up. And there we have. We have the mitote, as Ruiz says. It's the great confusion in the world. There are all kinds of assumptions. They don't have to be bad ones. They can be good ones. I assume that you're telling me the truth when the person isn't. I assume that so-and-so is trustworthy, so I'm going to give them the keys to my house when I leave for vacation. I assume that you understand me. These are all positive, but they are still assumptions. They are still assumptions. And often we don't wake up to what we've assumed until we're hit on the head with a 2x4 of fact, of reality. And you know what that does? That gives us an opportunity to forgive. To forgive and sin no more. To forgive the person we feel has betrayed our confidence, our trust. Well, that's another one. We assume a person can keep confidentiality until it comes all the way around back at you from someone else. 3 people removed, 10 people removed, 1,000 people removed. Yeah. It gives us an opportunity to forgive the betrayal, but also to forgiving ourselves for not catching our own assumption, for an unconscious agreement to let it happen, whatever it is, that is not in alignment with divine order and God's truth. We have an opportunity to forgive. And then the last area that I will touch on of assumptions is we assume that everything that happens that we don't like is against us. And we get upset and we get angry. That's a human experience, and that too will pass if you are willing, as the Daily Word said, if you are willing. There's another story I'll share with you. There was a man who was marooned on an island. Think of Tom Hanks' Castaway, right? Marooned on an island. And he managed to get a pile of driftwood and put it together so that he had a small little hut. And he lived on this island for almost a year. And one day, he was on the other side of the island foraging for food. And when he came back to his home, he saw that it had burnt to the ground. And oh, he was so upset. This is all he had that he built with his own 2 hands, and he was so angry with God, he cursed. He stomped his foot. How could you do this to me? You know how I needed this hut. Blah, 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 blah. And that went on until nightfall, and he finally, from exhaustion, just fell asleep. The next morning, he awoke to the sounds of a ship approaching the island. And when the captain got off the ship and came toward him, the man said, "Wow, I've been here a year. How did you know I was here?" And the man said, "I saw your smoke signal." We cannot assume that when something happens that is challenging, problematic, scary, or just downright seems unfair, that it's not for our own good, because God is always in the midst of everything. And whatever our souls need to evolve, to deepen our understanding, it is given to us at the right time and in the right way. And this is a blessing and a gift, like it or not. You shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. There's one assumption that you are allowed to make, and that is God is always for your highest good. God is a loving God, everywhere present. And if God is for you, who could be against you? No one. No one, nothing, no circumstance can ever diminish the divine presence that you are. That's an assumption you can make. God bless you, and so it is.
All that I need comes to me. All that I need comes to me. In the light of love and grace, shine upon my face. All that I need comes to me. I've been set free, I'm released. I've been set free, I'm released. The burden of my past is gone away at last. I've been set free, I'm released. Sweet rain that washes me clean. Sweet rain that washes me clean. The mind creates all things, into my life it brings. Sweet rain that washes me clean. 'Cause all that I need comes to me. And all that I need comes to me. The light of love and grace shine upon my face. All that I need comes to me.
Thank you, Amber. That was beautiful. Just beautiful. So I want to share a few announcements on this video before we bless the offering. Next Sunday, February the 7th, we are having a specially called membership meeting to vote on suspending one little part of our bylaws for the upcoming annual meeting, which will be on April the 11th. What we need permission to do is to allow mail-in voting or drop-off voting for this annual meeting. And the reason for this is COVID. And speaking of COVID, I am relieved to know that Pima County stabilized and then is dropping in the number of newly reported cases. Given this, I have checked with several board members, and given the fact that we have an in-person called meeting because we can't have it any other way until we change the way, so we're going to open the church on February the 7th for in-person worship service. Yay! I'll be so happy to see you, all of you, and I know you'll be happy to see one another. Also, I want to thank you so much for continuing to support this ministry. We've had to find alternate ways to do what we love to do, which is come together, pray together, study together, be together. God bless the person who invented Zoom. You know, this is going to go down in the Hall of Fame, the day people learned the world over to Zoom. I know I'm learning. And that's a very good thing. That's a good thing. Thank you so much for your continued support. Oh, by the way, we made our mortgage payment too. And that feels really good also. We're getting very close to having a paid-for building in the foreseeable future. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And for this, we are all grateful. And so it is. Let there be peace on earth. But before that, we remember the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and that's because God and I are one. And so it is. Amen.